Enthusiasts, anti-fiat enthusiasts, friends of the non-fiat world. Yes, how are you? I am the crypto sniper, wearing the invisible crypto sniper hat. Why wear no hats when you can in fact wear three? Good to be with you, and I am really, I'm hearing myself twice. Let's close that. It's very weird hearing yourself coming back at you. Sorry for that. So, good. We're going to talk about gold, silver, a whole bunch of items, including the Bitcoin. Yes, indeed, the Bitcoin. It is, after all, crypto sniper. So last time I spoke to you, what did we say? We said a key thing, and we had a key chart. You might see it. This is our current live stream now. The one I'm pointing to at the moment is the previous one. The key message for you. 2 or 3 days ago, I think it was, 3 days ago it says. So here's where I'm looking. 3 days ago, we said to you right here on this marvelous channel, we said, Bitcoin dominance is your most important chart. We taught you about inverting a chart. We flipped it upside down and we said, it's difficult to read the right way up, so we'll turn it upside down. And we said, in actual fact, it's going to go lower on that little chart. You can see there's a preview chart. You can only just see. I'm just letting you peek in it because you were there and you all watched it and you shared and liked, as you're about to do now, because you just love these feeds and you really appreciate someone coming on to tell you exactly what they think about the anti-fiat world right here and now. So click, 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 bump, 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 share, share, share. Thank you very much. We said down. And that, of course, means in an inverted chart that in actual fact we're saying the right way around, Bitcoin dominance is salute to the moon. Okay, it means it's probably going to make a move forward. And that's very hard for many people to see because we're kind of upper 60s. We're close to that key level. Let's get it up. Let's get it up. Let's get it up. Oh, I'm always up. Let's have a look at it anyway. Winding it down, you can see this is that same chart that you were looking at there. Clear the screen, get the tool out the way. This is leaning on that red line. We refer to them grind lines. You can find out how we use grind line theory. There is no theory. You can't learn it anywhere else. You have to come to us. We have a monopoly. Oligarchical monopoly. No, we're not like that. We want to share the knowledge. We want you to have it, but you have to respect us for it as well. So we talk about grind lines. If it's going to break through that grind line, we talk why and what it means. And of course, as I've already said, this is in fact an inverted chart. So what we were saying is it's going to probably head down through that red lines in to some degree. We even went further and said you're looking at a falling wedge here on this. Falling wedge, remember, it's still inverted. Everything is upside down. I do this to provoke your autism and dyslexia that is within us all. And you're going, I don't get it. Turn it upside down. It balances out your inherent bull bias. You have to learn to do this. And it's very uncomfortable. But there you go. Up it goes, up it goes. You can see the squeezy, squeezy. Japanesey. Yes, don't forget the Japanese. God bless them. And there you go, and there you go. So we're getting squeezed, and we're in this little sock, and it's tightening, and we're actually at the perimeter. We're at the perimeter of my current jaw in terms of a little touch there, a little touch there. So we're squeezing into the corner. Something's got to give. You're either going to break the gray line and maybe head upwards, in which case, for now, we are inaccurate. For now, because I will highlight to you that there is, in fact, some interesting drawing structure that is going on here. And it can go one more cycle to the upside, but for us to be in our current falling wedge draw, it's quite decent probability, not a guarantee. This is a probability based game. Trading is not for people that want guarantees. We all want to make profits, that's guaranteed, but the market won't always do exactly what you expect it to do. But if you keep looking and do multitudes of analysis across many spectrums using many different useful techniques, you avoid all the time wasting things such as MACD and formula based indicators, and you focus on price action, key levels of significance, aka price points where the market has shown you that are significant. Where is it significant that I've said before on this particular time frame? Well, I did mention to you that 62 was a very important one. Why did I say it? It just proved to me that it was a number of times. So I said the 62%, Fancy that. I actually think it's probably the 61.8%, if I'm entirely honest. There you go. That'll tickle the Fibonacci fans amongst you no end. But in actual fact, you can see that it was interacted with there. It gets smashed. You should always break a key level with momentum. You jump and you bobble around there. It gets smashed. Then it gets revisited, it gets smashed to the downside, it gets smashed back up to the upside. You just run it there. That's classic key level of significance performance. You just run it there, you smash it on an impulsive, you revisit it on a shooting star, boom, over there, you touched out there. That's another reason. Boom, you're below the 62%. Remember, below is on the inverted. That means we are staying above 62% dominance on Bitcoin, even at Bitcoin's lesser moments to the alts. And now you're rolling over. This is all pretty convex. Yes, convex, that means rounded and rolling over, rounded and rolling over at the midline. You'll learn about broadening patterns as well when you come on board. We call that an ascending megaphone on a bear pole that has certain ramifications. So for us, there's quite a few signs that you don't know much about the theory of. You can find out how to apply it for yourself, but you've got to want to learn trading. In the meantime, you've got to take it from me if you just want to listen. Overall, there's a number of reasons why I say something. I don't come on and stream it just because I got one reason. I like to have 2, 3, even 5 reasons, because odd numbers are awesome. Yes. Anyway, so if we're in this falling wedge and we bounce around a bit, that doesn't mean there won't be periods where Bitcoin gives back a little bit. It's not one way. As you can see, it's not a capitulation like that. It is a gradual gaining. In other words, we're seeing money heading for the liquidity. That's right. That's what I said there. I said it with a coronavirus flair. I love sharing is caring, and everyone can catch it. Right, here's the coronavirus, and I'm ready to share it with all of you. No, I'm just kidding. We're all healthy as cats in a cradle, but I can say to you that if the BTC dominance is more likely to spend more time going down, overall, you're going to be better served being in Bitcoin. So I highlighted, since the 2 days subsequent to doing this, I highlighted a couple of things on the Twitter feed. So let's just go and find it. Where's the crypto sniper? So here was the Bitcoin dominance chart, and that was it breaking today. The levels I've shown, the 3 other points where it broke grind lines. And then we also said, how's it done on coin market cap? So this was some point today. Then there was one from the previous day. How have you done? And you were up 7.34% for the last 24 hours under review. And I can say to you that no other coin in the top 13 did anything like it at all. You got Ethereum was next best at 5.59%. The rest were 2s, 3s on cash, 3.9s. You could almost say 4, 3 on SV, 3 on Litecoin, 3s, 0.9 Tezos, that's 1s, etc. So the point is proven yesterday, and just to show that it wasn't a one-day fluke, we did it for the day before. The day before you had 4% for Bitcoin, you had 3s for Ethereum, 1s for Ripple, 1s for cash, barely 69% of 1% for SV, 1.5, 2s, 0s, 2s. So most of the top 12. And you might say, but, coin number 87. And I say to you, what the hell are you doing there? What the hell are you doing outside the top 12? I'll extend that, I'll extend that to the top 20. I'll extend it to wherever Monero is actually. And I'm looking forward to him finding his way back into the top 12 or 15. Becoming a slow fan, but I don't want to become a believer. We don't believe, but we just think the principles are good. So why and what have we heard on that very comment? Well, the Monero Reddit. Monero reaches a daily transaction high. That's kind of interesting, guys. That's kind of interesting. If we go to that link, which I'm doing right now, that means a security coin is reaching, in terms of use. So Bitcoin, store of value, hodl, fairly expensive to move around relative to other coins, not compared to banks. But if it starts to get really valuable, it can again. but ongoing transaction growth, real use case coming in for Monero. Does it mean that people are starting to get the fungibility means your name isn't written on the back of the note saying you bought such and such Rizzlers from your local cafe, etc., on such a date, and you're getting all the drug dealers and the gun runners and everybody else's dirty deeds done, dirt cheap transactions written on the back of your note, for which you can have this history, this heavy energy history. No, we don't want that. We don't want to know what Joe Schmo did or what Mrs. Lipschitz did, etc. We just want it to be uniform, fungible, and personally to our level private. And that's the value we see in privacy coins generally. Who's delivering? Who was one of the first? This is one of the first, until somebody comes and proves better. And we remain open-minded to all. So mention and a shout out for Monero. Maybe we shall take a look at the chart if you're interested. How did it do also in the crypto sweepstakes? This is live. Let me hit the refresh button. Coin market cap. So how does that stat change as of right freaking now? It gets even better for the most liquid coin in the world, which is exactly what we've been telling you, 6.47. I'm not a maximalist. I don't think it does it best. I don't think it does it fastest. I don't think it does it cheapest. I don't think the first thing to come out is the best thing to come out. I am absolutely not a maximalist. Until the day she is no more, then I leave her at the altar and I wander off with my new bride. Okay, so this is not a belief system. I'm not getting married. But if we take a look at this, 6.47 as of this very second. Next highest, 2.8 Ethereum. Interesting to note that Ethereum, who is essentially the second elder statesman, if we can, the primary alt, is also one of the better performers of the alts. So Ethereum is typically beating the alts. So they've done their work. Look at these negatives, 15, 16, -2, -2. Everyone who was saying, I had some guy going, you're such a moron. Who's listening to this bald fool? I've tripled my Bitcoin value trading dash and all of this. You should be doing X, Y, Z, etc., etc. Well, I'm afraid the best place to have been is in Bitcoin since the last stream, and I rest my case as of now. Monero, disappointing, flat to slightly under on 0.2%. So there's no appreciation in valuation as yet. Wait till people actually have to start buying things and value the price. I think that will come. But for the stats right now, Bitcoin is boss for going up. Remember, there's transacting, and then there's people that want to speculate in an asset that's going to make them wealthier. And I suspect many of us, if we're truly honest, exist for a large degree to that one element. Yes, we understand transactions on e-money and cutting out the banks. Yes, we love all that stuff, but we also want to make money. And if we're honest, that's what it's all about. So that's a little bit of how we've gone on since the stream you saw 3 days ago on this channel. I will say, I think that was a good call. What's happened on the Bitcoin chart? Let's have a look at it. Here she blows, here she blows. I've put it on Stamp, one of the longest and oldest. It's on logarithmic. This is obviously the big time frame. Let's have a look at it on a slightly smaller time frame and drop down in. You've essentially, and we highlighted this also in a tweet, that you actually over here had a rising wedge. So we'll draw it for you. In fact, let me just draw it with the overlay draws. It's quicker in some ways. You had a rising wedge over here and you melted up out of it. So it was a bit precarious. And you also had, at this point, you had a little blue box. I shared this chart. Oh, that's an arrow. That's not a box. I shared this chart. Let's see if we can find the draw. It'll be easier and maybe quicker than to redraw it. A while ago on Crypto Sniper. Crypto. Yeah, it's quite a busy feed, I also shared this, by the way. I'll come back to that. Which is how to utilize BitMEX. And I think a lot of folk need to think about it. And they need to think about how they implement overall their trading with BitMEX and derivative platforms. So let me just go with that one. So what we did, my birthday was 30th of March. We put roughly a Bitcoin in here into the BitMEX. So I regularly drain the BitMEX account. So then the reason I do that is it's hot money. High leverage leads to hot money. Hot money is money you surrender as fast as you make. It's an absolute fact. And even after 30 plus years of trading, I'll get sucked into that same pitfall just as easily as a newbie. So the key way you survive is that you tax your quickly earned money from hot money pocket into cooler money pocket. So if you have a Bitstamp exchange platform and you have a high leverage Finex or any of the other new, and there's quite a few newbies coming out in the derived market platforms, what you should look at doing is you always tax leverage down. So the goal is you're building your investment pot. So you may have Coinbase, it's a bit of a rip-off, CoinFloor or an other on-ramping, no leverage, just fiat to Bitcoin. You build Bitcoin, that is your long-term hodl stroke investment account. Now, I don't out and out hodl. People that hodled at 20K, that bought at 20K, wore $17,000 of loss to 3K. But generally, I avoid making regular decisions on investment. In other words, I'm not interested in the short-term fluctuations. I'm not even interested in the medium-term fluctuations. And I can tell you right now, I am net bull. So I'm not out of investment. This could sell off to 6K. I will eat the whole red on the investment pot. It's unleveraged. Why? Because I don't want to be caught out if it doesn't go to 6K, just as a short little dip and then whips and jumps. At least I'm an investment long if it starts its major move. Then on your medium time frame, you can have your 5x leverage with Finex, Kraken, Stamp, all the others. I'm aware that Binance has actually upped leverage, but I would say stay within your 5-10 range. And that you can do a little bit of what we do, HVF trading in our community. So HVF trading is trade just the HVFs. And if you think it's going to overperform, leave a little bit on. We have mechanisms for how we trade the overperformance and we take off at those points. So that's kind of what we do. Anyway, so deposited 1, you can see the balance. I taxed myself for 4 over here. I didn't complete the deduction on this one, so that deduction never came out. I taxed myself for 4 a little bit later after it had grown. So I'd gone to about 12. I took 4 out. It goes from the super hot pot into the medium, the 5 to 10 pot. When I make big gains in the 5 to 10 pot, which has got some investment, no open trading positions right now, I then tax those into the hodl investment pot. So you have 3 pots. You might say, oh, well, it sounds like you've got loads of money. No, you can have half a Bitcoin in all your pots. That's not loads of Bitcoin, it's 1.5. You can have 0.25 in all your pots. It doesn't matter. Just have 3 pots. Your quick gain, your moderate, and your investments 1-to-1 leverage. 1-to-1, 1-to-5, maximum 10, and then your moonshoots. When the high confidence only. You should not be in the hot area often. It's like a sauna. You can't eat, sleep, and make love in there. You're going to die. You've got to get out. You can get in there for a short while, but you can't stay there for too long. You've got to get out. Okay, you've got to get into normal temperature zone. Okay, and let's say you live in Cyprus or the Sahara. You can live there for a while, but actually you need occasionally a holiday away where it's a bit cooler as well. So you've got to take yourself out of the sauna into everyday heat and out of everyday heat into long-term, safe, totally sustainable leveraged. And you must avoid the temptation of dipping back into long-term hodl investment and bringing it back up into the scale. If you blow your stack in MEX, you have to sit out a period of a couple of months. You have to sit out. It's like an ice hockey player who punched his rival in the face and whacked him with a stick. You get put in the cooler bin. You don't get to play. You get punished. You've got to punish yourself because you got overexcited. You got too hungry on the leverage. You got dopamine infused. You started to do dumb stuff. Okay, so the remainder of that 10 that later became 11.4 Bitcoin is highly at risk. place. In fact, I'm ready to tax it again, but I'm not doing anything at the moment, so it's not in any danger. But it's on standby. The minute you make fast gains, you should move to medium and keep taxing down. I would say up to 50% is a good tax if you've made a big amount, but certainly at least a third. All right, so that's why 4 went out of the 12 to the next pot. Now, if you can do that, if you can just do a small amount of this, let's say you can do a third of this, you can turn 1 Bitcoin from the 30th of March to roughly mid-May into 2.5 Bitcoin. And you're only going in when you're highly, highly certain of actually making some form of progress, then you will still be doing well. And you can tax a Bitcoin out of that into your medium trading, which might be medium term, nice big structured HVF in our case. Whatever you trade method-wise on your own case, make damn sure of it. But then at least you're not on crazy leverage. It's less likely to absolutely be blown apart. Okay, so a couple of key concepts there on how you should use the high leverage platforms. Remember to take yourself down. If you get to a very high value, you start to get casino effect. Casino effect is, it isn't my money, I'm sitting here larging it up on house money. It isn't house money. You risked your capital to earn new capital. That new Bitcoin will buy you as much in the real world as the Bitcoin you paid for out of your waitressing job that took 100 hours of real toil. You don't behave differently, but human nature sees us behave differently towards a Bitcoin that you earned in dollars, being a waiter or a waitress or doing something menial or harsh, or maybe just doing something that you professionally qualified at, but still took time, versus the quickly earned one on a fast-moving HVF. You do not respect the new fast money in the same way, even though it has the same buying power. It's called casino effect. It's called house money effect. You've got to take some of it out and reduce your capital. You need that feeling of scarcity and preciousness of capital. If you're feeling flush, you will piss it up the wall. Okay? Remember that. People are people. And you don't have the money management to survive that. Okay, so quick run past the other. We mentioned Ethereum. Let's just take a look at its chart. I reminded you again of this. It's still bottoming out. It is looking rosier. 2 key hits. What have we got? The 100 level as a key level of significance. Earlier on, I was talking about the big bull with overperformance upside HVF. When we were getting in the bull market long at 353, and the overperformance took it to 1400. We had a target where we closed half at 585. That was a huge gain. It looks minuscule. It was a huge gain. This is on a weekly chart, guys. You don't realize what a big trade that was and how much we potentially made in the bull market there, plus then all that overperformance. So you've got to remember the history of this. You've got to remember the bull market and the bear. So I haven't always been a bear Ethereum, and I am pointing out after Bitcoin, Ethereum's probably getting the next best. The next best. But I'm not interested in the next best at the moment, when you can have the best, and that's why we are in Bitcoin. Now, I introduced you to relative valuation to other things. So we're talking about Bitcoin and gold. Don't forget, if you think this is you and you understand valuations and you think this is awesome and you'd like to learn how to do the same, grab the mini series for free. The link is there. No obligation at all. You get an email address. You'll get 1 newsletter from us, if that, once a month. We never sell our lists. We do no JV swaps. We do nothing. It's a complete, you think chicken tikka tiwari and you think invert the chart and you get the HVF sniper guys. We don't want you if you don't want to be with us. Last thing we want to do is hassle you. Okay? So this is a community of the willing, not the force-fed. Anyway, so here we go. So gold versus Bitcoin, same structure Bitcoin chart. So this is mainly about Bitcoin. It shows you, it should be, it's the more volatile, it's the most dominant moving thing. You can see all the Bitcoin charts look a little similar. But there's been good news for gold and silver as well. There's been good news for gold and silver as well. It kills Peter Schiff that Bitcoin has done even better, though, of course, because he hates the fact that there's anything else that's an anti-fiat at the moment. Yes, they're very different. Yes, we know all the difference. Yes, we've all watched the debates between him and Fiats and everybody else. We all understand that they're different, but in some ways, they are the go-to options for the over-proliferation of central bank money. The great tyranny is coming, guys. The great tyranny is coming. You already have right now a new world order. I'm ashamed to say it. I'm going to give you a minute or two of reset sniper talk. You already have your new world order. You've seen the world leaders talking about until a vaccine is available, everyone is put on ice, all reading from the same script, whether they're talking French, whether it's Cyril Ramaphosa in South Africa, that absolute man-child that leads up the French, the guy in Monaco, the guy in Poland, the guy, they're all just talking. It's like that viral clip on mainstream media of all the American media outlets saying, repeating the same thing. Fake news, da-da-da-da-da, New Jersey, we are full of trust, you can trust us, we've noticed, da-da-da-da-da, and they all talk the same, and they split the screens. You've all seen it. I've tweeted it, you've seen it. And unfortunately, the world leaders are exactly the same. They're all controlled. You already have global governance. This is coming from the Rockefeller-funded UN, all this malarkey, and this is where they're taking us. So you've got to do the best to be a wealthy slave. We can fight and talk about how we get out of slavedom altogether, but there's various degrees of slave. You can be the absolute basement, chained and flogged slave, or you can be the one who's freely walking around and is got certain degree of freedoms, wealth, and lifestyle in Rome. So this is where we're at. I'm afraid to say it's how it is right now. So what's happening with Bitcoin right now? Well, it had its little dip, didn't it? And then it's come back. Now, I do want to warn you of a couple of things. Remember, I've said at key turning points, you do get shooting stars. And I highlighted this call that we made some time ago when you got that shooting star over there. Now, that is not a shooting star, it's a rickshaw boy. There's a slight difference. It's a long-legged doji. So it was a period of what's called volatility, and it was also a period of indecision because it went up, couldn't hold up, went down, didn't stay down, came back to where it was. So it's kind of, not too sure, are we up, are we down? It's a kind of indecision point, but it's not an exhaustion point to quite the same degree as the first one that I've highlighted there. The following up candle is very important. The follow-up candle, the one we're now in that week right there, is very important. Let me macro out this chart because I'm doing it a bit small, and some of the blind are wanting to see, and some of the deaf are wanting to hear, and everybody else all wanting to just be better in the frame. So I've just fattened him up a little bit. So this is a key candle, and it can still fizzle and be bearish if it does. It can still fizzle. In other words, if this green body comes all the way back down and you get a shooting star like that next to the rickshaw boy, that could be potentially bearish. I am still expecting, I'm not taking this off the table, just like I said last time, I am still expecting a sell-off down leg of some sort, but it hasn't come yet. I would really like if on the gold level, where we are now, we could run a few of these previous highs versus gold. So this was quite a key level, 6.5. Remember, this is Bitcoin in dollars divided by gold in dollars. So we're cancelling out the dollars and we're working out how many ounces of gold for a Bitcoin. 6.5 is a very interesting level for that. It is indeed. There's no getting away from it. This is a very interesting level. In fact, we should go up to the big chart and we should look at where all those key levels are in terms of gold. Last time we turned back down, roughly at around the 10. Sitting roughly at around the 10, the peak. and the 7.5 was the low of that one, and we broke down from there. So it would be nice to see the 6.5 run, but not at the expense of gold going up. So let's change tone and space and just remind you what's happening on gold. Here's gold. So our community and I have been stalking that. Lovely group of guys. We're happy to be in the bull zone, and gold is moving up. That is our continuation pattern. For those that want to know, we got 1784 as a target. So there you go. I've given you some free information. 1784, and there was someone asking what was the interim level in the key comments here that I'm keeping half an eye on, and I'm going to refer to you and your comments in a moment. Yes, the interim level is around 1762. 1762, the second interim. So that's where it might have a little bit of a pause. So let's have a look at what the beautiful people are saying. Charles Fuchs says gold bullish. He is right. BTC, he wants to be bearish. I would say, by the way, at some point BTC may be bearish, but it could revisit the 10,000 again. So 10,000 is a big level for Bitcoin. So let's just go back to the dollar. A simple right way round chart, regular scale on the dollar. You're not used to that out of me, are you? You've got to get used to some funny technicals being thrown at you. So the 10K level, very, very key level. This entire inverted that we called on this red grind line that was way back. Come on, give me the line. Doesn't want to give me a line. There's the line. This one. There. That red line there, that entire inverted was all about Bitcoin getting away from the 10, surrendering the 10 to go lower. It eventually gave us our target at 6.8, which was made there, and that then led to a big rally. What was that rally about? Well, it was a great big rising wedge structure to return move to the 10, to retest the 10. And then we died, and boy, did you die. And then that's where on this particular stamp, you actually traded through the 4K on the low. And now we come and kiss the 10 again. We've had a small pullback, but we haven't gone the whole way. We haven't gone the whole way. I was seriously hoping that I could just dig out. There was a very beautiful fractal, and I'd drawn it quite nicely. Let's just see if I can find under the crypto sniper that thing. It doesn't want to go back beyond a certain amount of time. Yeah, he thinks alts will overperform soon. I don't agree. So no, I'm not going to be able to get it, and I can't dig it out of my drive. But in essence, we had on Bitcoin a little period here after the spill down. So let's just have a look at this period here. We're going to drop the time frame a little bit. We actually had a small fractal version of exactly what happened on a smaller time frame. So what am I talking about? Well, I'll explain it, because I'm sure it doesn't make too much sense just yet. Sometimes you get a smaller version of what's just occurred. Now, stamp is actually a little bit different. It was a little bit schizo. I might just get Finex instead. I think there's some unusual point of reference on stamp. It's not a bad exchange, but I'm going to just take the Finex instead. No, actually, it's common to both of them. It doesn't matter. I was good. I just saw something I didn't recognize on the chart, and I thought I had a bad data. No, I haven't. Okay, so let's show you what I'm talking about. So the first part was from the lows here. You actually got a first setup in a new trend. You got a squeeze. There's your squeezy Japanesey. Up you pump, and you made that target. Then you set up again. Up you pump, didn't make target. We traded Ethereum. Ethereum did make target. Bitcoin then wound up again. This time did make target. Had a fractal at this level, which last time I explained to you was the full target of this pattern here, the second one, and the interim target of the third one. So everything was there. There's HVFs all the way. You saw me show you one go up to 15.4 Bitcoin in a matter of months, just trading the upside HVFs. I'm not taking the shorts. There was an incredible micro short right up top here. Wasn't interested in taking it. I'm not wanting to trade shorts. So now I'm in bull bias phase, and acknowledge self-asserted bull bias phase. And I expect and I expect a down leg, and that down leg could go to something with the 6s in my view. If it goes to the 4s or below, then my scenario that I've been playing is inaccurate and I need a new one. We're not doing a continuation pattern in the form of HVFs. We might be doing a falling wedge or something else. So we'll see. Anyway, I was talking about fractals. So this was all part and parcel of a long-term rising wedge that then melted up out the top. To everyone's shock, everyone was expecting a sell-off, and we refer to these as type 3 wedges. Most people don't realize wedges don't have to. Rising wedges don't have to go down. There is, in fact, circumstances when they will melt up. In other words, the bull buying coming in here, so many people got scared and chased out in the sell-off that there was a lot of money on the sidelines needing to get back that didn't really want to get out, but were so petrified they had to run and stampede. With all the rest of the lemmings, they just jumped and then they had to come back in. And instead of coming down, in fact, you went into a melt-up. So you had that. So let's go and have a look more recently what happened and why I call it a fractalization of what previously happened. So here, again, you have a big spiller. It was a bit of a thriller. It wasn't necessarily from Manila, but it was a thriller. Here we go. Down she came. And then you got, again, typical rising wedge structure like that. And then you popped out the top of the wedge. This is actually known as a 3 rising method. It's a tactical candlestick pattern. It's not perfect, but it's there or thereabouts. You get it at the top of a wedge, you're going higher. And that's exactly what occurred. Only we've not gone as high, and now we're facing a bit of resistance. That's what happens. People get a little bit wiser. There's your 10K level. I didn't nail it exactly, but it's roughly the 10K level. You've stopped the second time a little bit short of it. You also almost had the fractal squeeze. You see the squeeze, maybe another color on top of that. Only this time you got tricked. You thought it was just like the last time it broke up and you got shaken out. Bang! That's the trickiness of the market. That's what it can do. It doesn't owe you anything. And now we get the melt out up to the top. So what's probably, or what am I hoping for? There's a decent chance, but there's still a lot that has to happen. So we're a bit early. But we already start saying, what's my wish? Because if it gives me my wish, then I get to be lucky. I want to be prepared and ready. This is quite a decent overall basing out chart price behavior. Why? Because you kind of had, first of all, you kind of had wicks that showed real buying in this zone. Much the same as we call tops on those weekly shooting stars. These are hammer wicks that say, at this level, there's a chunk of money that's going to come in and buy you up. So that was kind of, bzzzt, and you almost got a double bottom. It wasn't exactly, this one was a little bit higher than that one. And then you also started to have this rounded base. So what we're seeing now is after each panic sell-off, very quickly, more and more quickly each time, money is coming back in. Money is coming back in. They're buying the dip, and then they're chasing the rounded bottom up. And it's low volatility, which means it's going to have a blow-off at some point, but you're not there yet. See, those bodies are quite small. And then you get the expanded body, and that's usually when you're about to have a blow-off. But you didn't have a full-blown blow-off, you had a medium-sized blow-off. Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, I'll not use that analogy, it's a bit dodgy. But anyway, reins himself back. Didn't shoot the full load, but you got part the way there. And off you went and you came back. And that's a little bit of rest. What's going to happen now? Well, let's have a little look. It is a zone that there is starting to be selling. It does seem that there's people ready to distribute a bit at 10K. We double topped here. You had a double top. And then as I've described before, you did in fact have on a much smaller time frame, a little mini inverted structure in there. And you would have had the trade of a lifetime with overperformance if you wanted a short. Did I want a short? No. Chances of being wrong higher, even though we were at a high level. But at the high levels, there is scope for sudden sell-offs. But as I was saying, this is a good rounded bottom. This is a good rounded bottom. I like it. But it has also now got to legacy selling areas. So what would I like? This is the answer I'm meant to be giving you. And here's what I would like to see. So we're going to go up a time frame. We're going to call it, in fact, maybe a little more. I'm going to go up to 15 hours to get a little bit more. I think this 10K is going to lean on us for a while. I think we need a wind-up pattern to get above the 10K and hopefully above the 10,500. Okay, so what do we say and think about all of that? Well, to do that, you would have an amplitude that we are seeing of about 2,000. From just over the 10K to just above the 8K, I'll give you about 2,000. From about 9,200 somewhere, 2,000 on that, it's going to take you to the 11s. It'll take you through the 10K and the 10.5. So what might I like to see? I would really value a nice upside HVF continuation pattern. So we've got a nice first impulse here, a little bit of a nibble out of the head there, but we did wind up to do that. We traded that. It kept us guessing for a bit, but then it went, and it went well, made its target and the 10,000, the 9996, and then 10,000 was run. This is a really good snapback to that rather high momentum sell-off that suddenly hit the brakes at the top of our wedge. Do you see that? Just as you went parabolic out of the wedge, that's where you hit the brakes. The buying came in again here. You might be able to see that. Let me just pull this chart through a little bit more so that my innate scribblings become slightly more discernible to the many. So, what was I saying? Let's draw it again with the whole history. You have a rising wedge, kind of like that along the lows. Squeezy, squeezy, pop you out the top. This is the level that you were dying on, the 8K level. 8K is an important level. Look where you capitulated from. Can you see it right here? That's where you capitulated from. It's a key and interesting level. You did pause on that 8K before on the way down. You had a little, again, rising wedge there. Let's just take the lock off. It's always fun drawing live. You've got to hustle and be quick. There you go, rising wedge. And you had also the little, I'll show you the little macro inverted HVF, not on Bitstamp. It was better on Finex, which is the one I trade. So it's not clear. Anyway, so what you had is a rising wedge to the 8K. Those drawings are now out of sync, so I'll take them off. And then you return to the 8K. So essentially the blow-off high that started there, the blow-off high that started here after the top of the wedge was broken out of, you return to that same level. And it's all determined by the key levels. You see I've got alerts there on the 8K. It's a key level that came up for support. Why? Because in the wedge, everyone was quite happy to come up underneath this. Everyone was quite happy to come up underneath this and be buyers. Then it ran away from them, round about here. So when it came back down, that same buying was still there. That's a positive thing. That's a positive thing, guys. Let's go straight through there. That's a positive thing, and you can see that it was proven and tested. So there's an 8K floor. People will come in higher than 8K to buy the sell-off. So far. It can change. They might get satiated. They might not. So overall, I would suggest that possibly we're going to round and turn around and come off. We've had a little bit of a blow-off. We're not that volatile now. I think it's a little bit steamy. I think we come off. But I think, again, the 8,200s, 8,300s will still be there for support. On balance of probs, I don't know, I'm talking about the future, but I think the buying will creep up a little bit and that we will, in fact, find a block of buying. Where's the block? They've changed this damn menu and I haven't seen it now. Where's the squares? Those are the tags. I hate it when they do that. Just as you get comfortable. Rah, me and my tech grumbles. I wanted to draw a square, but it's not going to show me. Where have they hidden the squares now, guys? You guys are so much smarter than me. You can't teach an old dog new tricks here. They move everything and I can't see it. Anyway, so there was a block of buying there. I'll just use the date and time thing. My suspicion is there'll be a block of buying round about here when we, let's stay there, sit, bad dog, stay. So what we end up happening is this. Some form of topping out. Don't know if we make 10 again, I doubt it. And then some form of basing out in a new block that will creep up. And then I'd like to see a third and final move, could be a little higher like that. And if we can squeeze over there, that is typical price behavior for overcoming a very serious, significant technical level. Now, you'll say, okay, 10K is a significant level. I get it. You might not know, though, that we have our special secret technical levels that include a funnel on the first inverted of a down move that I just showed you earlier. So if you were listening and you watched the previous view where we had the high at the 14K, just sub the 14K, some time ago now, you're going to need that some way back to go some way back for that. Over there, you may know that we like to have our funnels cleared. So we need to get above the 10,500. There's a key mark there. And it's been respected repeatedly again. Again, no squares to draw, but you can see that if I draw these little date timestamps, there was one there, and there was one there, and this was the key level for us here. So we truly, truly want to ideally see 10,500 run. And that will not only clear the 10K, it will clear the 10.5. That should mean possibly 11,000 to 11,000 on the run. If this turns up to be a wind-up pattern, at what point do we say you're not a wind-up pattern? This is very early for me to call that. I'm saying I would like it to be. I'm not saying it's high probability yet. It's early, but I'm saying I'd like it to be. How does it stay with the script? It stays above this low. It stays above that low, which was 8,100. Anytime it trades through that low, it's not doing a continuation pattern of the variety we expect. That means it could do a falling wedge. It still can get a bump out of that, but it means it's going to take longer and it's going to fall further and be deeper, and possibly it could even be a type 3 wedge that spills out the bottom. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. If it goes exactly to the same height as this one and dies, there's a slight risk to that. Who knows why? Answers in the chat. And I'm going to take a sip of water and see what geniuses and well-learning students I have here. What says the cat? What say you? Why would it be bearish if it goes up to that top? Just similar to that one. Identical or very close to. A double top, says one of you, and you would be absolutely correct. That would be the reason why. A double top. It would be a double top. By the way, there's 564 of you watching. Thank you. Very grateful to have you. That's a lot of people giving time. I hope you're finding it valuable. We appreciate if you hit the likes and you share. It's awesome for us. It could all, yeah, double tops. Well done. Yeah, double top exhaustion. We do use fibs when we need to use fibs. Peter Rayett, thank you for your question. We do, and we use it in all the ways that it's most effective, and none of the ways where it doesn't add value, where there are quite a lot of those category as well. All resistance broken, just not the new price discovery. Tuning in from Philadelphia. Yes, where are you all from? Philadelphia, Philly. That's nice, nice. I bet it's still a bit cold there. Yep. So some people talking about the weekend and crypto. We're Thursday today. I had to check that. It's great when you run your own business. You can't remember what day it is. Yeah, we'll do a weekend stream possibly on the Market Sniper. I haven't spoken that much about gold, and neither, even less about silver. Look at that lovely little squeezy Japanese moving up forward inside an existing one. Your target, 16.29. Yeah, that's all the kind of things you would learn and you would draw with us if you're in our community. 16.29, a number, a confluence of levels there, plus a little wind up having broken already. So we should see 16.29 on silver. We should also check in. I'm going to say goodbye to this Bitcoin and just put gold-silver ratio, because I did discuss it with you last time. Are we going up or down? Remember, Bitcoin and gold both like the idea of this selling off, this going down. In other words, it would be great if 128 silver ounces to gold was the all-time high. It's kind of what I'm calling. And for now, this is not bottoming. That is a broadening pattern. You see how we are very focused on that which widens and that which squeezes. Squeezy, Japanesey, getting broad in the butt, just like an American. Ooh, oh, that's rude. How could I say that? I'm going to have to come up with a catchphrase like that. It's not fair that just the Japanese get the squeezy. I'm going to have to get a broadening. Catchphrase. And the temptation to bring our poor brethren of the North American continent into this is overwhelming. But I respect not all of you are 10 tons and out of shape. But it's just such a cliche. Anyway, so now that I've pissed off half the nation, I apologize. We'll decide on the catchphrase and we'll share it with you later. Or you can submit here in the comments what your favorite catchphrase would be. Broadening your but like a, we've got to make it a national thing. We've got to upset somebody. Anyway, so to me, this is going to go further down. This means good news for gold and better news for silver. Good gold, excellent silver, and I expect gives us some optimism for Bitcoin as well, as much as you will all say, different thing. No, sir. Different in some ways, similar in others. The people who are investing in them are the same. Markets are people's reactions to certain forms of price behavior. If you have the same crowd of people reacting, it doesn't matter if it's an ice hockey game or a football match. When there's a fight, they're going to stand up and cheer because that's what they like. It can be rugby, ice hockey, it can be anything. Okay, so the market is about the participants and their emotional behavior in that market, whether it be rational, whether it be emotional, whether it be fear, whether it be greed. And if you have a similar crowd, they're drunk and disorderly and love a good fight, it doesn't matter what they're watching, okay? You're going to get the same. So the market is the reactions. It's the voting system of every participant therein. And people who don't like fiats are involved in Bitcoin and gold. Many might prefer gold and be old school, but think, you know what if this Bitcoin is a thing? Many might be young and think Bitcoin's the main thing, but you know what if they switch the power and zeroize it or outlaw it? I'll have some gold. And all points in between that. But we're all the anti-fiats. And we're drunk, disorderly, and we like our liberty, and we don't like governments, and we hate fiats. Yes? Okay, so let's drink a beer to that. Only problem, where I am, there's no alcohol allowed. So there won't be any drinking. But you can have one on me. I would like to see the picture. A Budweiser. Who knows? Okay, so that's where we are. SPX is selling off to some of the guys, so that sounds interesting. Let's go back and have a quick look. Now, because I did last time SPX to the Bitcoin. I also gave you the Korean won. On that, you had a nice little wind up and you popped on a gap. You can keep an eye on that. We have big things that we'd like to see happen, but as yet, we're not getting dollar strength. But you got a gap there. Let's get rid of our Korean won and have a look at the SPY, and then we can also have a look at Bitcoin SPY. How do you think Bitcoin's done to the SPY? Since I last gave you that measure, and I've tweeted it before, long before I did that live stream, but then I decided to make sure it enters your consciousness so that you can become smart too and recognize that assets or underlying markets can be valued across many different ways. Relative value assessment is the best way of getting 360-degree analysis. Okay, so you're getting a little bit of an idea there. So let's get it up. We'll go with stamp because it's got the history. We're going to divide by SPY. We'll go with the Spider SP500 ETF Trust, and we'll hit the enter button and see, whoopa, in fact, Bitcoin has gone even higher than the previous high now. There'll be no normal wind up here. There's going to be no triangulated squeezy Japanesey here. This one is just out and out moving higher. What does that mean for the SPY? Well, let's say take the Bitcoin out and just have a look at the Spider. And the Spider is down 4 hourly. It's having a little bit of a pushback, but it is down. It is down. If we go daily, you'll see, actually for the day, it's a hammer. Who were the guys saying Spider's down? It traded down and it's now getting a closing flurry. It's not quite closing time. What's the time in the States there? We're 6:37 here. It should be still midday. You've still got an afternoon. It might turn around and crash later. Who knows? But actually for the day, it's higher than where it opened. But it is below the previous day's close. So if that made no sense, don't worry. It's confusing. But it gapped down, traded down, but now it's higher than where it opened. But it is still not higher than the previous day's close. So you are just about down, if you see that. Let's make it big and easy for everyone to see. You're just about back at the yesterday's close, but you did have a gap on the open. So people not so bullish, not so bullish. The one I've provided as free view to you, which is the Spanish index, is still just about hanging and looks a lot weaker, and pup is the word, a bit like a flat wheel. We call it pup wheel. It is looking a little bit pup wheel, bit of a hammer, might come back up. So who knows, you might have had a mini head and shoulders trigger there, and then you're going to have a return move to the neckline. So equities, not interested. Bitcoin beats equities. Remember that macro. Remember that macro. BTC, USD, hold on, USD. We'll take it on the stamp again, and we'll divide it by the SPY, and you should have upside continuation. You should have upside continuation. We did it on the inverted sense, where you had downside continuation. Let's get that SPY again. The most common benchmark for equities in America, and that's how it's looking. This is good progress, guys. Remember what I said. So this is super big time frame. We're on the weekly here. In fact, it's monthly. Can go to weekly, but this is good progress. This is good progress. It's engulfed that day. I almost preferred it on the monthly. I'll show you why. So when you can see that there's going to be selling, you start very simply, you just get on the big time frames wicks, selling wicks. So this is clearly potential for reversal. Yet you still could have got out of Bitcoin in that bear market 52 times the value of the SPY. Wicks, selling. Again, selling on the big time frames. Shooting star-ish, very clear-cut shooting star. You still could have got out above 10K. It was 10,000 US dollars, and that is around 30s to the SPY. Now, if we just clear those, actually, against the equity index, it's better than gold. Of course it would be, because gold's doing okay. It's doing pretty well. This is better. It's actually, this is a stronger candle at this price level than most of these were. These were all showing signs of needing to sell off at these levels. And this is all green for the month so far. How many days left of the month? We're halfway through. 14, she says. We've got another, is it 16? We're a 31-day month in May. So we'll be 17 days. We're roughly halfway. We've pretty much finished 16. Over here, we're in the sort of 0 time zone. So this is decent. There could actually be a higher high than the points that we've had here before against the SPY. Remember, this is Bitcoin against the SPY. This is why you're sitting there with tons of equities, hodling equities, but you won't hold crypto. I'm saying to you, investment pot. I'm not an advisor. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying to you, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. But remember, it's high volatility. Most of you cannot live with that. So what makes sense to me may not make sense or suit you. But I think Bitcoin beats equities. But the premium, the cost you pay for that is high volatility. High volatility. But this was a huge rejection of the lows. You fell to about 16 times the SPX, and you absolutely rejected it, and you followed through with 2 green monthly candles since then. So, not bad at all. And that is a big hammer. That's a bigger hammer, that orange square, than any of these were shooting stars. It was all in one event. Huge quick capitulation, quite a vicious snapback. Okay, so you know where I stand on the SPY. So the person who was mentioning the equities, SPY sell-off, etc. You've got it. Georgette Adelaide, how are you? Lovely to hear the ladies' names. You're the best. I'm not so sure about that, but I'm cheeky as all hell, Georgette. Equities, top man allowed a beer in UK as long as you pay their taxes. Yes, the alcohol taxes. 18 pack of Corona tonight. I'm not surprised your name is John Wayne. He's got a 6-shooter in his holster and an 18 pack on his back. And he's going to shoot some monkeys out in the jungle, and he's going to knock a 18-pack of Corona back. I noticed that it's Corona beer that he's going to be drinking as well. Johan Bertha, South Africa is almost China if you look close enough. Yep. Total tyranny is coming, Johan, I'm afraid to say. I'm disgusted by what I've seen. A bloke in Cape Town on the beachfront dishing out food, and the cops come and harass him. To poor, non-white, giving them food, many begging at the moment. They haven't got work, they haven't got anything. There's people actually going hungry. They want these people to riot and turn into criminals. Other good-natured people are taking freaking food to them to make them better, and cops are harassing them and saying, you're not to do that, it's an illegal gathering, there's more than 2 of you in one place. I mean, have you ever, it makes me sick. They want suffrage. They want the suffrage. They want the poor angry and hungry. They want all that goes with it. That's how they get their communism in. All your world leaders are reading the United Nations script. There is tyranny far further than you even dare realize, my good friends. It's already here. Your total world government is absolutely here. They're slowly slipping the noose around your neck, and you haven't even noticed. You're so goddamn anesthetized. I'm sorry about that. I've got no good news for you on that front. They're way further than you realize across the world. Across the world, it is synchronized. This is a leper colony. It's a slave leper colony. We've all got to get the leprosy, and we've all got to take the mark. Otherwise, you won't be able to trade, and we've all got to become slaves, and they can switch you off whenever they like. Don't do that, vax, whatever you do. That's my personal opinion. It is not the opinion of a doctor. It is the personal opinion of the people and the level of trust that you can have in them that are behind all these agendas. So, JS, well, the armies will turn on their governments eventually. Well, we hope so, JS. You need to talk to your friends that are in the military. It's the slow boiling of a frog, says Stephen O'Brien. You're quite correct, Stephen. JS, and we'll overthrow them. We've got numbers, but we are decentralized and disorganized and disharmonic, and we are not backing, and we're not resisting enough. Yes, thank you, Gorgette. Smash the like. I appreciate that. Excellent. So don't forget, if you want to merch, you've got the t-shirt in the below. You've got the mini-series just below. Totally free. We'll never spam you. And if you want to learn more, you book a call and you can have a chat. We need to speak to you. We need to make sure you don't have unrealistic expectations. You're not on your wits' end on your last $1,000 and want to try hope on a moonshoot to survive and putting all that responsibility on us. Trading is tough. You've got to have a method. You don't only win. It's a probability-based game. Let's see if I can answer a couple of things. Someone wanted Monero as a coin, somebody wanted Litecoin, and someone wanted Binance Coin. So let me just say one more time to you, those that are asking for alts. Let me just say this one more time. You're going against my key view. You're going against my key view that Bitcoin dominance is going to be the game. That's fine. You're welcome to. You're entitled to have your own opinions. But it's quite a well-held view. that I think I've done a decent job of justifying technically, but you're welcome. This is not super strong. This is your alts. This is a combination of Ethereum, Ripple, and all the others. Okay, you think there's a couple of stars somewhere below that are doing better. You may well be. So Binance Coin. You see, while Bitcoin is strong, look at this bugger. Look at him. That's disappointing. Look at that rally back from the smashdown. You saw what you got out of Bitcoin. You're back up. And in fact, against the S&P-Y, you actually had a new high. On the dollar, you're very close to previous highs. Down here, much flatter bounce. Why do you want him? Don't want him. I don't want him. I don't want him. Just do it. Do BNB BTC. That is shit. Why do you want to be in that for? It's underperforming. Since May of last year, it's fizzling. It's fizzling and making new lows. It's at the lows. You don't need him. So stay away. And it was a bit of a shooting star, had danced to its own tune for a while. That's largely been dissipating recently. DGB, says somebody. The only thing I'm going to measure it is against Bitcoin. So, DGB, very good against Bitcoin from April, generally, into June. So you've got to give credit there for that alt rally. Looks better more recently than Binance, but I think it's also done quite a lot. It broadened. So this was all part of what we'd call trumpeting. Not a megaphone, it's different. See, we have HVF trumpets and we have megaphones. They're different things and they have different meanings. You need to find out. There's trumpeting. It's broadening. I'm going to cut the top off that because I think you blew out a little bit there. So this is now leaning on the lower handle. I could see it falling through the downside. Okay, that's trumpeting. It's not a megaphone. Megaphones are mounted on poles. That's a trumpet. And that's increasing volatility as you're going higher, eventually shakes you out and you have a spill out the bottom. So it gets an eventual down move. So it's done better compared to Binance. It's shown relative strength actually to Bitcoin from this period, DGB. Is it Digibyte or Dodge? Digibyte. So it's pretty good broadly since then until May the 20th, but since the second slap down, it's not nearly as buoyant. And this, when you revisit only to the half marks like this, there's a sign that it is softening and could start to roll. So don't forget, Bitcoin is only just beginning to break its red base on the BTC dominance inverted chart that I've started every session like this. So Bitcoin dominance. This may be a bit of a settling period now, okay? So these two little bounces are not the same as this big one here. That is showing a loss of strength that it may soften a while. Still respect for what it has achieved in the meantime. What was the other one? It's Dodge, ADA, says Yasin. ADA, Cardano. So we always start from the higher time frames. How do you like that chart? High flyer or bottom feeder? Where's my man who was asking for ADA? What was his name again? I think it was Yasin. Yasin? High flyer or bottom feeder? Should be obvious. And this is the case of the total two, only to an extreme. And everybody wants to buy that. It can go lower. It can waste years of your life. Yes, at some point it can also go higher. But if it's that flat as a pancake, it's been that disinteresting, there's very little people that wanted to stay in it. That tells you something. A lot of these disappear entirely. It's as likely to disappear entirely. Yes, you heard me say it about ADA. It's just exceedingly low, compared to where it's been. So that's not interesting. On the daily, it's all just bouncing around at a pretty low level. That's not overtly bullish. This is bumping around along these lows. It's a bit of a ledge. It can trade lower. It's not really a rounded bottom. I see no reason to be in this. Okay? So once again, I'm chucking out your altcoins. I'm chucking them out. Technically, standalone, I'm chucking them out. So Paul Shooten, you also asked for ADA. EOS, Mr. Fatface says. I'll do one more after that, and then I will call it time. If you give me a fat thumbs up, 5 shares each, and 14 likes each, that means you have to unlike me 13 times and re-like me again. It's like making love to me. I'm only kidding. EOS, what are you guys doing? What are you doing, mate? What are you doing? I haven't looked at EOS in a reason for a while. What are you doing? Come on. Jesus, are you the dogs of the crypto universe? What is this? This one is in the, you know those Sunday sales that you go to? Those car boot sales, where you get your third-hand underpants out and a biscuit tin with some bent toy soldiers in it. That sale, EOS is in that same basket at that sale. That is just technically freaking awful. What on earth would want you to buy that technically? It is at an all-time low, making lows, guys. Come on. This is technical analysis ABC. You don't make money buying penny stocks. You don't make money buying penny stocks. Pennies that become half pennies become 1/3 of a pennies, become noughts, and you lose everything. At naught, you've lost everything. It doesn't matter how cheap you paid it. You're too price focused. You must buy strength. You must buy patterns with upside potential. Link BTC, the final view for you on your smorgasbord of alts. DGB was the only non-vomitageous awful one. The others have all been shameful. Shameful, good people. So not enough history for a really big monthly assessment. Again, a little bit like DGB. Okay, so it's not like what we just looked at, EOS. Was it EOS? That was so terrible. Jesus, losing value. It was EOS. It was just awful. I mean, remember, that was the star, the light of everybody's life at one point. Man, that thing's in a terminal dive. I've not seen such a bad chart in ages. This is why I don't look at these guys. Nobody's catching my attention. They can't go up on the coin market cap. Yeah, so this is a little bit thrashy. This points to high volatility. This stuff over here. You know, you're trapping a ping pong ball under the bat there. You've got big zigs and zags. We did like that structure then. It was a bit ascending, and we traded for an upside, and it made our target. That was the last time I had anything to do with Link. It then sold off. It's then snapped back, which is kind of good. It's now selling off. It could be, in fairness, it could be that it's going to do like Bitcoin. If it keeps tracking Bitcoin, and even having a little bit of positive, because from when it first came on, it actually has gained some territory. It came on there at Bitcoin's levels, so it was roughly 4,000 sats, and it's now sitting at 38,000 sats. That's great overperformance, but inside that you've had quite a bit of thrashing, and eventually the problem with these thrashing things is they top out and they roll over. But if it can build an HVF, a continuation pattern at the same time as Bitcoin is doing one, it'll be okay. The problem is Bitcoin's still at its, what I call a relative high 2. And this one's already fallen way down where it should be making a low 2. Hang on a minute. It is against Bitcoin though. It's not against dollar. So I'm being a bit harsh on it. Apologies. For a moment I was thinking I was looking at Link USD. We're doing everything against Bitcoin initially. So, yeah. So it's underperforming Bitcoin, which is holding the high now. What it needs to do is this. Again, like it did once before. and you saw it performed once before. That will actually mean accumulating some Bitcoin against Bitcoin. That is a good thing. So that would be a good thing if it can do that, but it has to hold this level. It invalidates if it runs this level. So you need it to stay here, and then after a while to start getting some beans and start building for a third impulse. So my main technical man is getting twitchy. That means it's been going for a long time. So link, I'll do one more and then I'm going to close or play. Please do XRP as well so I can show my friends who are obsessed with it. Okay, we'll finish on XRP. Hello from Nairobi, Last Laughter says. Yes, nice to see you.
I have one more question.
Yes, question, bring it in.
Yeah. From Nick B, did you see that Bitcoin has decoupled from the stock market? Does that change your prediction of Bitcoin in any way?
So the question was, have you seen, this is not what I'm saying, this is what the question is saying, have you seen that Bitcoin has uncoupled its correlation with the stock market?
And does that change your prediction of Bitcoin?
And does that change my prediction for Bitcoin? So I never felt that it was hyper correlated. I thought the day where its anti-fiat role will start to play much more significance and the overvaluation of the stock market would work in a different way. So I've never felt that they have to walk the same road, the SPY. In fact, the reason the previous stream that I did was Bitcoin versus the stock market, and I'm showing you when I do the stock market divided by Bitcoin, you had that huge selling chart and then that continuation pattern gearing up for another plunge down under the table. So low, I'm going to have to do this to get it. So that's not correlation. That's one gaining ground while another one is either barely holding its ground or losing ground. So stock markets, I don't short the FANGs because they are blessed companies. The chief Satans have all blessed them. They are scooping up all the business that are busy flooring and merging the SMEs and all the small businesses. So they're picking up all that market share. I don't recommend shorting the FANGs, even though they will go down and they'll crash. They'll also snap back a lot quicker. That goes for Tesla as well as Apple, Alphabet, Schmoogle, Amazon will probably be the first trillionaire bloke, and all Microsoft and all of those guys. These guys are your tech surveillance state. This is essentially government in cahoots with the major tech forces. You know, this guy Schmidt of Google, he goes in between NSA, CIA, and CEO of Google. I mean, they are just, you know, completely part of a very vicious cartel. They're probably Freemasons, Zionists, and a whole lot. So, but the SPY generally, the mid caps and the small caps are going to get destroyed, and any non-favorable big caps that have a unicorn rival will also get destroyed. So if one unicorn owns a car company, the other car companies might die. So this one can hoover up a lot of what goes on. So there's that. So link, watch it. See if it'll show some strength and give you a third high. I will do Litecoin before I finish because someone was asking very patiently for it. And then I'll call it a day. And I'll do Ripple. So let's just do these. Last two, LTC versus BTC. Dive bombers are us. That's a Stuka. That's not an ordinary dive bomber, it's a Stuka. It's got a big ass siren attached to it. Gorget Adelaide, big ass siren attached to it, and it's dive bombing. That is absolute convexity and rollover. It is not pretty. It is giving up ground to Bitcoin. It truly is. It truly is. That is very, very ugly. In fact, you had a floor previously that you kind of hung on to at around the 6,000 level. And that's been surrendered badly. That is really ugly. You take these mega spike, crazy ass early doors 18 period away, and this is just ugly. I mean, Litecoin against Bitcoin. Let me just put this on stamp and get a bit more history. Do we have a stamp version? Yeah, no, it's we don't get too much more history. So that must have been when Litecoin kind of came into the scene. It is just dying relative to Bitcoin. There's no reason. I go back to the Bitcoin dominance theme. You can keep throwing alts at me. Most of them I'm going to throw back at you. XRP is my favorite, love to hate. It usually does the least on the good days and falls one of the highest on the bad days. We'll do XRP against Bitcoin. That is doing a Litecoin as well. It's getting convex and rolling over. It's getting convex and rolling over. We've called this and we've said countless times. Be short Ripple against Bitcoin. I don't know how much of their XRP they're holding, that their coin market cap is as far valued for them as it is. Ethereum, you know, there's at least something to the coin. There seems to be a bit going on. They actually show days where people are engaged with this. It's a 7% day up for Bitcoin, and it's a 2% for Litecoin. Take the Fiat stable coins out, it's the worst. Until you get to Tezos, which has been a high flyer, a real high flyer. Tezos and Stellar have been gaining ground. It's generally just normally the worst. Look at it. 0.41. Bitcoin's done 6%. It's done 0.41. It's still a great short. You want a permanent short. Crypto to crypto, short Bitcoin to Ripple. And I've said it for 3.5 years. 3.5 years, and it's going to pay you most times. They used to be able to fund an occasional spike to shake you out. They can't even afford that anymore. They can't afford it anymore. That's the best they've got. Short the goddamn thing. That's not advice. That's me just talking out loud. You know? Instead of just leaving my Bitcoin on, I should just, you know, where's that piece of shit? Let me just short it. In terms of price behavior, it may be the best transaction coin. It may be everything. But we'll wait till the day that the IMF actually says we're going with Ripple. And then you'll see it in the price behavior. I'm not near shorter. That's its biggest pump it can afford now. This is awful. It is rolling over. It's going to get convex like Litecoin. It's going to just go as far. Bitcoin is the liquidity. When the big money comes in, they buy in the same way as gold and silver, guys. Silver, alts are like the silver, and Bitcoin is like the gold. The central banks and the institutions buy gold. They haven't got the room to store an oil ship size of silver that'll maybe have a few 100 million in it. They need to bury billions, and they're restricted in space. So they don't buy silver. They buy gold. That's why gold runs first and runs hardest initially. Gold is the boss. When they want liquidity and they want the big coin, they're going to buy Bitcoin. Because of liquidity, they know they can get out. No one wants to put, institutional big money does not want to put its hand in a jar where it's not going to get its hand out again. It's going to get bitten off. They need a big neck that they can grab lots of sweeties and come in and out as they choose. You can't squeeze your hand into this jar that the minute you grab any sweets, you can't get out. You've got to drop everything just to get out and hold one with your thumb coming out. And that's the neck of the jar. And that's the liquidity pinch. And if you're a big institution, you need liquidity. This is why I assess that the dominance for the crypto realm is going to go to Bitcoin. When the functionality and people are paying more with coins, starting to get used, Bitcoin's prices being highlighted negatively against XYZ coin, speed, etc., and its cost and all of that, people will store value there, and then they will buy Monero to privately buy, or Litecoin because it's quick, or Ripple because it's quick, but not a store value. It can go as cheap as chips, and you'll buy trillions of XRP. And they keep offering them. It's a perpetual IPO in essence. So this is an awful chart. I mean, even if I give it to you against cash, it's not going anywhere against fiat either. So on a most favorable, on a proliferated dollar, this is flat as a freaking pancake and actually losing ground. I'm going to have to log scale that for you to get rid of that ridiculous pump. And I've shown you this before. They tried to hold the 30s level. They try to hold it. They then try to hold the funnel of the upside pump that they engineered with the amount of money they brought in. So I showed you that. That was the big move. This is where the same one I showed you on Ethereum. I actually traded that long. Before the Ethereum long, I was able to roll from Ripple into it. And that was the last time ever I was long Ripple, apart from doing a transaction. And this funnel has fallen. And we predicted that, and it's plunged. It is not a good value building for wealth coin. It may be a very good transaction coin. It's not my place to comment. I have used it for transactions that are super quick and super cheap. That much I'll say. But that's a different use case. That's for paying. I'll sooner hold the Bitcoin, make the money in Bitcoin, and when I need to pay for things, buy a couple of trillion of Ripple for a couple of pennies. Because it's perpetual loser coin. They may already try to make it stable, like the dollar. They keep proliferating and then try and make it the closest thing to a stable coin to a dollar. But they're not even doing a good job because it's losing value. They tried a big deal. If you throw a volume by price on this, you get an indicator and you throw a volume by price on this fixed range since it's been in existence, since the boom. Where's it traded most? You'll find it was in and around these lows. Nothing traded up top here. Absolutely nothing. That's a log scale, so that's why it's looking so fat. That's all the same size. Your 70% of trade in this coin, and I've included the full bull, is between 38 and 17 cents. This is so heavy. This is so heavy. It's tapping on the floor, looking for another trapdoor to stumble another story down to the south side. Okay, that's me done. Like, share, appreciate it. Thank you for your comments. Grab a t-shirt if you feel like it. Otherwise, don't. Buy a coffee mug. Grab your free mini-series if you understand what we're doing and you'd like to learn a little more for free, for absolutely nothing. If you want to talk to somebody about coming on board, about our trades and how you might be able to take 1 Bitcoin to maybe 15 Bitcoin, you're welcome. Go and grab it. Thank you for coming on board. There's 677. I appreciate you. More than half have given us a like. I appreciate that. That means we've done something useful and you're prepared to say thank you. I say thank you to you for that. And we really appreciate it. And I will come again to you. I'm going to come on traditional markets maybe. I'm going to have a look at what dollar, FX, and individual equities might be doing this weekend. So I haven't decided which day. If you have subbed to the Market Sniper and hit the bell that says always notify me. So they're shadow banning, some people are telling me, hit always notify me. Do the same on Crypto Sniper, do the same on Reset. I might do something Reset even, and just tell you about all the developments and scary stuff behind the scenes. It's difficult to be positive on that, but be a rich slave if we're to be slaves. Push back, push back, push back. Support other people who are pushing back. Be brave, arm yourself. Arm yourself in terms of information, in terms of being able to defend yourself legally, forcefully, in every single way. Encourage people that are libertarian and are pushing back. Push back against the politicians. There's ugly stuff coming. Go to the Reset Sniper, hit always, and subscribe, and we'll catch up with you on the weekend. I appreciate you for coming on board. None of this is meant as advice. Trade carefully, own your own decisions, but I am telling you how I am biased. And it's a Bitcoin dominance world in crypto, and it is a fiat, anti-fiat realm where gold and silver are also starting to move. I see the gold and silver ratio losing further ground, which means silver will outperform gold, but both will do well. That is my take, and that is good news for you if you own them. And you can trade them. Trade small leverage if you're new to trading. You will get beaten up. You will get drugged by your own brain. Be very, very careful out there. Get some education. You will lose 5 times the amount you spend if you don't get quality education from somewhere where you trust. You can even have free stuff from below, whether you want to be part of us or not. Okay, thank you very much. Have a great evening, and blessings to you from the Crypto Sniper. Bye for now.